if you can follow that. So see how I'm kind of already like brainstorming how I might explore the difference between natural and literary narratives as I go through this. Finally, let's look at the Blake story. I think that one is a little simpler. I found that it did not have a resolution in the sense that we don't know within the story whether the brother dies or not. Though we know that from reading this introduction. So the introduction kind of gives it away. I want to read this one too because I think there's some similarity between this one and actually a lot of them. All these stories are kind of about alienation, that is separation between the character, the narrator, and somebody else. Departures, we see that already. Tell me a story. That one's it's the young man and his father who seems to be all closed up but finally tells this maybe lying story. Ordinance, well, I guess that's kind of separate. He's scared. He's separated from this woman he's madly in love with, and is scared if he sees her, the effect is going to be so powerful it's going to blow up. That's a kind of a different kind of separation. So let's read this one. I saw that Blake's romance. This is on 16. You with me? I saw that Blake's romance with the street life and the hustler image had flowered dangerously. Again, that's like the word flowered. Would Larry over there on page 7 have used that word flowered? Right? He would have said it some other way. Right? One evening that late December, standing in some Roanoke dive among drug dealers and grim, hair-trigger losers, I told him I feared for his life. He had affected the image of the tough he wanted to be, but behind the dark glasses and the swagger, I glimpsed the baby-faced toddler I once watched over. I nearly wept. I wanted desperately for him to live. The young think themselves immortal, and a dangerous light shone in his eyes as he spoke laughingly of making fools of the policeman who had raided his apartment looking for drugs. Okay, I just noticed something as I reread it. And this is why rereading and reading aloud, as I'm doing, is very good at, as you think aloud to yourself. The young think themselves immortal. Notice that's in the present tense, whereas most of the stories told in the past. That's like a truth, right? He's saying the young think themselves immortal. So there's an evaluation like squeezed into the story, right? What's the story about? It's about how young men, especially, I'd say, think that they can live forever and they can be tough and they can take chances. And of course, the truth is, no, they are mortal. So we're getting at an evaluation of the whole point of the story here, or part of the point of the story. And a dangerous light shone in his eyes as he spoke, laughingly of making fools of the policeman who had raided his apartment looking for drugs. He cried out as I took his right hand. A line of stitches lay between the thumb and index finger. Kickback from a shotgun, he explained. Nothing serious. Gunplay had become part of his life. I lacked the language simply to say, thousands have lived this for you and died. I fought the urge to lift him bodily and shake him. This place and the way you are living smells of death to me, I said. Take some time away, I said. Let's go downtown tomorrow and buy a plane ticket anywhere. Take a bus trip, anything to get away and cool things off. He took my alarm casually. We arranged to meet the following night, an appointment he would not keep. Why? We don't know, except maybe it tells. So we embraced as though through glass I drove away. So I don't think it has a resolution that leaves us hanging, very much like this story here left us hanging. We don't know if he does see the woman. But do we care? Because what's the point of the story? The point of the story here is just that, the intensity of his anticipation of seeing this woman. And here again, the point of the story is, the sense of immortality or invulnerability that young men often have. And so finding out whether he really died or not is almost, well, we want to know, but the story is more powerful in the sense if we're left not knowing, we're left with the fear, the uncertainty that the brother himself is experiencing at the time, Some of you pointed out, you weren't sure what to do with we embraced as though through glass. Well, can you embrace through glass? No. You can see somebody, but you can't touch them. And isn't that a kind of a separation we often feel in life? Somebody who's right in front of us, and yet we can't really touch them, in a deeper sense. So again, notice the metaphorical language. And what I see right now, as we're reading over it again, is how similar it is to what we saw with Storm Jameson, right? Where she says that she felt herself isolated from her husband by a barrier of ice. Very similar, right? So notice how I'm exploring some of the connections between these as well. Something you can do. I think those are the main things I wanted to point out about that one. Um, yeah. So let me pause there. I think maybe I'm done. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. I think we kind of covered what I wanted to cover. One other thing. Well, I'll say that later. Okay. All right. I'll see you on the next one, Journal 3. I'll have something to say about that. Okay. Okay. And also do the. I'll also comment on your on the labs here. Okay. I'm starting to have fun with this. I hope I can keep it up. All right. Bye bye.